Good morning. I see some people are with me. Well, I suppose you're a little bit intrigued by the title. Do you cry easily? I've just spent the good part of 10 minutes blubbing, unrelentingly blubbing. I looked at Twitter this morning and good morning, Magnum. And Adele came up. Now, Adele is a singer, and I've never heard her sing. Yes, I know. But I live a very quiet little life. Good morning, Mary. I live a very quiet little life. And Sandra, here in the west of Ireland, at Bealtaine Cottage. And I'm not in tune with mainstream media, Roberta. And so I have heard of Adele, but I've never heard her sing. So anyway, she came up on Twitter because there was some cavorting around in some bar in New York last night, which is very funny. And I thought I must find out a wee bit more about Adele. So I put Adele into the YouTube search bar, and the first one that came up was her performing at the Royal Albert Hall in London, singing Someone Like You. Well, I was still in bed at the time, and the sound of her voice. That girl sings from the heart, straight from the heart. She doesn't sing like ordinary people. I know, Deborah. Well, I just burst out crying, and poor Jack came up by the side of the bed, looking up at me. I said, I'm okay, Jack, I'm okay. But the song, oh my word, what a beautiful voice. What a beautiful voice. But the reason why I'm sharing this with you is, remember yesterday I was talking about the Schumann resonance and how the vibrational level of the earth is in tune with us and we're in tune with it. Although most people don't realise, most people don't even know about the Schumann resonance. This is probably the main reason why so many of us who are awakened are also highly emotional. Highly emotional. You cannot but be emotional knowing the struggles that Mother Earth is going through. So when I hear a voice like Adele, who sings, she sings from the heart, she sings from the stomach, she's just so I think the vibrational level of her voice is just, it just touches you. And so oh, I'm not even going to say much more about it because I'm going to get emotional again. And yes, over the past years since I've been at Bealtaine Cottage, I've become increasingly emotional, and I will just weep at the drop of a hat. I was trying to explain to my daughter. Yes, I know. Um, I was trying to explain to my daughter about my little granddaughter, my first granddaughter, and one day, when I went to hold her, she kind of made strange with me, and she started to cry, and I just felt like I wanted to cry too. Happy Holly. Um, Last weekend, which was St. Patrick's weekend, we had a bank holiday Monday. just having my coffee here, look. We had a bank holiday Monday because, of course, the Irish don't need an awful lot of excuse to go celebrating. We cry at the drop of a hat, we celebrate at the drop of a hat, you know. Yeah, so we had a bank holiday weekend. I think Ireland probably has more bank holiday weekends than anywhere else in the world. And a lot of people were kind of complaining because it's the first bank holiday weekend since Christmas. Because I suppose they expect to have at least one a month, which is unusual. Now look at the beautiful morning light. I think it's just gone 8 o'clock in the morning here. So now that we're past the equinox, we have this beautiful early morning light. And of course all the birds are up. They're all up and at it. I'm not going to go down into the fairy wood. It's a little bit too early. Don't ask me why. So I'm going to go back over towards the front of the cottage. It's always quite limited here with my little live stream. Good morning, Sandra and Jean. Yeah, it's always a little bit difficult here with the live stream because if I go, say, behind the cottage, it starts to cut off. So just walk around this way. Now this here is Virginia creeper. Look, there's the little buds of it. And for some reason or other it decided to root itself here in this little archway. You just see, very strong, very vigorous. And it's also going up over this cherry tree. All the plants here, they seem to grow towards each other. They're very sociable. So, Adele, what a fabulous voice. Oh, what a fabulous voice. And of course the lyrics of the song as well. They resonate with anyone who's ever been in love and, you know, loved and lost, as the saying goes. Look at this beautiful early morning light. Now it's a strange thing, as the year starts to rise towards midsummer, that's the time when I become very emotional when I step out in the morning. I think the beauty of it all and the sounds are a bit overwhelming, you know, and I'm fine sitting in the cottage, but when I start walking here, I can get very emotional. Hi, David. Oversoil. Good morning, Oversoil. Hi, Kay. I don't think it's got anything to do with age, though, Kay. I really don't. And because I've been talking with a lot of people of all ages. Good morning, Marianne, in San Francisco. And here you all are in the west of Ireland. It could well be, Jane. I think that the vibrational level here is probably as pure as it can get. Oh, fantastic, Mary. And how's the herb and veggie garden coming along? Oh, the bird song is lovely, yes. A child in Roscommon was crying. I don't know what that means. Well, maybe I do. Barefoot Taurus. 3:10 in the morning. Yeah, I think that's it, Linda. Concentrated nature and life force at Bealtaine. Indeed. Sounds like a little rainforest, doesn't it? That's right. On the other side of the world. Went to have a cuppa in the melting pot. The hand that's holding up this little phone is starting to get very cold because it's quite cold here, of course, because it's so early in the morning. It takes a wee while for the place to warm up. Ah, herbs are incredible. Herbs and flowers. Herbs are absolutely wonderful. I must just show you the little beds that I'm making here. Linda, there's more like minds than what we know about, because for everyone who leaves a message or engages, there are many who don't. Oh. Oh, thank you, David. Thank you. Now, those onions are making an appearance here. See all those little green dots? Can you see them? Little tips of the onions coming up. Now, my little kale plants have been kind of gorged on by the little slugs that are coming out. So yes, there are slugs here at Bealtaine Cottage, but I don't worry about them. So what I'm going to do, because I've got heaps and in fact I'll show you. Now this little video might start buffering a wee bit. Okay. Indeed, Jean. Good morning, Justine. I know. The world of man can be very sad. Very sad. Now look, there's all the kale that's continuing to grow. So I've got lots more backup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it for now. Okay. I'm going to leave it for now, and I'm going to plant some more kale out there in about another week or so. And you know what I'm going to do? You know the plastic drinks bottles, the bigger ones? I'm going to cut them in half, and I'm going to put one over the top of each of my kale, and that'll protect them from the slugs until they get a little bit more robust, you see. People do fret an awful lot about pests, in inverted commas, in their garden, but you know, they're not pests. Good morning, Fiesta. They are, yeah, they are just little creatures trying to get by the same way as us. So I'm going to be just replanting some kale when the time is right. I'm not wasting energy fretting on something as silly as that. Now look at the lavender and the rosemary. Isn't that amazing? And look, 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 look. The little cowslips are up. Look at that. Ah, Roberta. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, I think crying isn't a bad thing. For a start, it helps us to release our emotions a little bit. It also helps us to connect, with Mother Earth. I think she's very well aware of each and every one of us. Thank you, Mary. I think she knows each and every one of us. Fretting. Never any point in fretting. I know we all fret. It's human nature. We forget. We forget we're humans, you see. And over thousands of years, we've developed a lot of silly things. Silly things that become imprinted on our DNA that we're passing on to others. Now look at my beautiful contorted hazel. And the interesting thing is, see, I got this little tree as a gift because they're very expensive. And I wanted to keep a wee eye on it. So I sort of popped it into this little shallow rustic bed. Now look, see that wee pine there? Well, a car run over the pot and I just sort of popped it in there too. So I think this wee tree is going to do well with its roots growing down into the limestone gravel. Because it certainly looks quite happy, look. And half of it hasn't even been planted, look. So, reminded yourself, I'm going to top that up with some homemade compost today. Bank up this bed a wee bit. Pop in a few more wee stones, kind of raise the level of it there. Give that little tree more than a fighting chance. Because look how well she's doing there. Now. This is another little cowslip, but I think it's gone to seed now. Yes, indeed. Chop and drop is wonderful. You see, so many people, when they look at Bells in the Cottage on video or whatever, I'm quite sure that they have their doubts about the fact that one woman has done all this. But the reason why I keep stressing that one woman can do and has done all this is that when you work with Mother Earth and you do stuff like chop and drop and you don't fret too much over weeds and you just keep going at it and plant like your life depends upon it, because it does, this is what happens. And all you've got to do really is just keep the edges of it a wee bit tidy. So, now here's lavender, which is coming up into more growth on this little handmade stone wall. And fuchsia above it, coming out. Hi, David again. There's the cotoneaster coming out, look, as well. All the new leaves. Isn't that gorgeous? Lots and lots of new leaves. There's some little buds as well there. Thank you, David. So we're going to have flowers on this cotoneaster. You see the cotoneasters? There's one either side of the front door there. Look, you see. I grew those from, I think I grew them from cuttings, either cuttings or seeds. But of course they're beautiful because you have the flowers which the bees come to, and then you have the seeds which the birds come to. Now this is a beautiful little shrubby type tree that will grow in the poorest of conditions and grow from seeds or cuttings, and this is the buddleia. Now this is a little one that I just literally kind of popped into the soil there. I think it was last year. But this one here, look, has grown on its own. It's come up on its own. And then here you've got the bay, which was growing in a pot of homemade compost. And you see in the homemade compost, lots of foxgloves. So they're coming up now beside the bay tree. And these are the seed heads of the buddleia. You see, the wind takes the little seeds, and most seeds grow beautifully in gravel without any pampering at all. So if you do have any space at all on your little patch, a small patch of gravel, and just you could actually throw some seeds into it. Now, here is Sophia. Beautiful Sophia. I'm moving backwards, so be careful. This is true over soil. I can imagine your landlady with a big knife, like something from The Shining, going, foxglove, foxglove, and killing it. Yes, she is. She is magnificent. She is indeed. She is indeed. I can see new leaves. It's a beautiful, beautiful name, Deborah, Sophia. I can see the leaves there on that twisted willow, the contorted willow. So I'm going to take you up here to the willow. Jack, come on. There's a boy who needs a jolly good walk today. And I'm going to, despite my languorous nature at the moment, I'm going to take him out for a jolly good walk. Now, do you remember the buddleia here by the barn that I cut down rather severely because of the storm? Well, here we go, look. See? Lots of new growth, lots and lots. But anyway, let me take you up here to the beautiful twisted willow. We'll have a wee look at it. Let's see. There we go. Protect animals, be kind. Just absolutely, absolutely. My sentiments completely. We must protect. We must protect. And we must be generous with our love and our care and our time. Look at that. Some beautiful growth on this. Yeah, just gorgeous, isn't it? The Latin name for the willow is Salix, S-A-L-I-X, and the Latin word for twisted is contorta, which is where the English word contort or contorted comes from. So this is called Salix contorta, twisted willow, see? All the plants on Mother Earth have a Latin name, so everyone in the world can identify through the Latin name, which is the pure source. And of course, in all the different countries of the world and cultures, they all have their own little generic names, their own little cultural names. But that is beautiful, isn't it? And here's the gorgeous ribes. Look at that. These are the flowers that the little bees go crazy over because they're so rich in nectar. They're just front-loaded with nectar, you know? So let's have a little look up here now. So this is all that very fast-growing willow, and that's cut back every year. But look at all the new growth on that now, look. See? Those little shoots will grow to about 15 feet high. Look at that one up there. Isn't that amazing? Now we'll just have a wee look over here. Ah, good. Now Jane, the ribes, remember, little cuttings. Put them straight into the earth and they'll take. Look at this beauty, look. Isn't she gorgeous? Isn't she gorgeous? Oh, I couldn't tell you if it's crack willow or not. As far as I'm aware, you see, because all my plants come from cuttings, I very rarely buy anything. This would be the sort of biomass willow, very, very fast growing. Very fast growing. You see, there's over 330 different varieties of willow, you know. And they're forever creating new varieties. And when I say they, I mean the bees. Because they cross-pollinate, you see. Look at this. Look at that for a picture. There's Mrs. Crow. Now, do you remember last week with all the floods? These little drains here were filled. Snaps. Oh, no. I don't even think I have any crack willow here in the garden because it's all very supple. It's all very supple. But I've got so many different varieties, I couldn't tell you how many different varieties are here. All those beautiful trees. Now, will I just show you? You can hear a whole cluster of little birds behind me. Well, I'm going to show you where those birds are. You won't be able to see them, but I can certainly show you where they are. Look at all these pieces of wood here. Look, this is great kindling. If my mother was here now in her human form, she'd be out with a wee basket gathering up all the bits of kindling. Oh, thank you, Kay. Thank you. Okay, let's just go up here and have a wee look. Now, I'm facing into the sunlight, so you might find it difficult just to see this. but we'll go as close as we can without disturbing them. There's a whole cluster of little birds, which could well be little starlings, I'm not sure. I'm in Ireland, which isn't part of the UK, except for Northern Ireland is. Now, let me just see. I'm here in the stone circle. Okay. Now, I'm looking up here into the ivy. Many of those little birds are there in the ivy. See? They're in the ivy in the trees. No, I actually come from Northern Ireland though, Mr. House. I was born and raised in Omagh in County Tyrone. So that's my sort of feudal stomping ground. Should I feel the need to stomp? I can go back to my feudal stomping ground and do a bit of stomping about. There's a big branch of the... Okay, over soil. Big branch of the ash that I have to cut up a wee bit before I can manage to take it down to the barn. And of course there's all that beautiful, beautiful blackthorn. And look, this is a close relation of the blackthorn. Do any of you know what this is now? Because I know what it is now, this is just one of those silly questions. But it's a close relation of the blackthorn, and it has fruits a wee bit like the blackthorn. Okay, but they're bigger, and they're juicier, they're much tastier as well. Because you know the blackthorn fruits are the little sloes that you could use making sloe gin. So any of you got a notion? No, it's not hawthorn. Remember, the fruits are much bigger than the blackthorn fruits. But it's close. No, it's not bullace, but you're starting to get close now. You're starting to meander up that right road. I'll give you another clue. You can make jam out of these fruits. Very, very closely related to the blackthorn. Much bigger fruits, similar colour. You're getting very close, Jean. Very close. Have another go. Have another go. Now this is only a fairly young tree, but they also they have a lovely habit of fruiting once every 2 years. They don't really fruit every year. It's usually once every 2 years you get a good old catch of fruit on them. And they're delicious. I'll give you another clue. Sometimes they're called Victoria. Come on now. No, the sloe is on the blackthorn. This is closely related to the blackthorn. You're almost right, Nikki. Yes, Sue, plum. Yes, plum. I've got quite a few plum trees. No, it's not cherry plum, it's actually plum. Which is, now, whether this is Victoria plum or not, I don't know. Because again, most of these wee fruit trees would be, you know, gift trees that, you know, family and, well, I don't have that many friends here in the vicinity because I'm a bit of a loner, you know, but family now would be purchasing for me. Yeah, so I don't have that many friends in the vicinity. It's because I kind of live in such a rural, isolated little place that I don't have friends that I can just sort of hop over the fence to, you know. But I do have friends. I'm not antisocial or anything. Okay, here's another fruit tree that is beginning to blossom. Now, would you like to have a guess? Um, would you like to have a guess as to what this is? Now, it can't be the apple, because of course the apple blossom hasn't come out yet. But this tree blossoms before the apple. And this is the blossom here. It looks a bit like apple blossom. But then the fruits are a bit like apples, I suppose. Nope, not crab apple. But the crab apple is out at the moment, yeah. Pear is correct, Nikki. Go to the top of the class. And Sheila. Yes, there's so many fruit trees here that I've planted. They're just all over the place. Now this here is a jostaberry. That's more of a bush. Anything that will grow here, I just, plant it. Now look at this. Um, this is wild sorrel. See, that's ready for picking. You make beautiful soup out of that. So that's growing all around the stone circle here. And there's the carrier. The carrier is out. That's growing on the other side of the ditch, you see. Fruit fly. Oh, we've got all kinds of things here in Ireland. Fruit flies. Those are the wee flies that come on the fruit that's left lying about. Is that right? Well then, yes, yeah. You see, we have all the usual little insects and stuff like that. But because there's so much variety of planting here at Beyond the Cottage, there is not one insect that gains domination. I mean, don't forget that the insect population will only reflect what the human beings are doing. And if the humans are planting monoculture, then you're going to have monoculture insects, aren't you? That stands to reason. Hi, Peter. It stands to reason. So, we have to try to copy, to emulate Mother Earth and put as many different varieties and species in as she wants to have. Yeah. Well, you see, I don't know. Wild honeysuckle, it's called woodbine here. Oregon grape is right, Fiesta. Wild honeysuckle grows in abundance here. In fact, I'll show you some. See, I'm never too far from what it is you're thinking about or talking about. Look, let me just bring you over here into this little wild edge. Keep the wild edge of the garden. So important. Here we go. Wild honeysuckle. Woodbine. See? Shakespeare wrote about the wild woodbine. The woodbine. Yeah, that's a good idea, Linda, to freeze the bananas. I do as well, because eating plant-based, I like banana ice cream. There we go. The signs of life. On mornings like these, I can barely wait to get up out of bed. There's another compost heap there, look. See? I've little compost heaps going all over the place. Here's a little wood pile. Now most of these little bits will be used on, little, summer bonfires and whatever, you know. You want to cook something or make some tea, or if you're using the Kelly kettle now, of course, which has a very modest demand on wood. Twigs will do. My beautiful oak, saluting the sun. He probably asked me what those stones are. They were just stones that were lying on the ground 15 years ago, and I sort of stood them up. I stood them up because, to be honest, there was nothing else on the landscape. So they were the only things that you could see when you come out the back door of the cottage, were those little stones standing up. There's my chop and drop mulching there. So we'll walk over this way and have a look at the little... oh, glad to see my little birch trees are coming into leaf. I planted 3 there. Mr. House, have you been on to the website beoutonthe.cottage.com and had a look at the photographs of how this looked 15 years ago when I first bought the place? There was nothing here. Anyway, anyone who's interested in having a look at those photographs, when you click on the website beoutonthe.cottage.com, at the very top of the page there's a little menu, and I think there's 5 pages on that menu, and several of them will take you into the before and after photographs. Here's another cotoneaster. Look at that. Now, Fiesta, you mentioned a little crab apple. Well, this is a little, I suppose it's sort of a crab apple. It's a little ornamental. You see, look. And look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Look at the little drops of morning dew on the leaf. Just beautiful. And of course, because I wrote a book about my experience of coming to Ireland and buying an old, sad old cottage and desolate piece of land. And the book is called A Cottage and 3 Acres. And there's 71 photographs in that, with before and after photographs of the land and the cottage and how I survived in the early years. Everything from running an honesty stall at the bottom of the driveway, which, believe you me, on some days it really did keep the wolf from the door, financially speaking, to doing little craft fairs and making soaps and making candles and making my own creams and the stuff that I did just to keep the mortgage paid. But I never, I actually learned not to worry, because everything happened at the right time. There was a beautiful synchronicity about events. Now this is another cotoneaster, but it's a slightly different variety. A wee bit more airy-fairy looking. See? Yes, the feminine energy is very strong. Now look, here's the beautiful blackthorn blossom. Oh, that's lovely, Jean. Yes, my brother Hugh carved all those beautiful um, bog oak pendants. Yeah, I mean, I was, selling little bits from the website, and so thank you, Jean. Little did you know that you were literally keeping the Altona cottage safe from the banks. The banks would have swooped and taken it off me, had I not paid the mortgage. And it was people like Eugene that actually kept that from happening. But yes, that book um, is a pretty good record of the early days. Oh, thank you, Jean. I'm so glad you did. Yeah, and of course that bog oak. I think that bog oak that Hugh got, because it was a huge lump of it. Um, it was tested, and I think it was 38,000 years old. I think that was the testing that came back. Now, my friends, I've got low battery. It's just alerted me I've got low battery. So I'm going to have to wish you all um, a temporary goodbye, because hopefully I'll be back. Oh, I still have calendars left, actually, Linda, yes. Um, I'm not as well supported as what people would think. So yes, I do have calendars, and of course books, because I love to write and I love to record in writing my thoughts and my experiences. So I do have books for sale, but I actually have some calendars left, yes. Thank you, Nikki. Now, I hope you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night. If you're going to bed, sweet dreams. If you're getting up, embrace the day that's in it, because life is very precious, and we're here to bond with Mother Earth and enjoy our time with her. Right? So blessings to you all.